We already know the early 90s Super Nintendo could jumping frogs, and an Italian plumber who moonlighted as a dinosaur jockey. So what happens when you ask it to simulate 2,000 pounds of spandex-wrapped humanity, 4 turnbuckles, and 10 entrance themes rendered in crunchy PCM? WWF Super WrestleMania happens. This 1992 cartridge is equal parts time capsule and fever dream. It boasts the largest roster the series had yet attempted on home consoles, yet somehow ships with 0 signature finishers. Don't play coy, you mashed every button hoping for the Undertaker's tombstone and got a generic scoop slam instead. Underrated pioneer or overrated headlock? Yes, both. It's bizarre, foundational, disposable, indispensable. Hyperbole absolutely intended. Could I relive my Basement Survivor Series tournaments without self-deprecating questions answered immediately? I could not. So tear your yellow tank top down the middle, slip a neon snap bracelet on your wrist, my absurd through line of choice, and prepare for roughly 4,000 words of digital suplexes, MIDI trumpets, and one relentless question. How can a wrestling game feel so right and so wrong at the same time? Historical context. The industry ring in 1992. By March 1992, the 16-bit transition was a full-blown Royal Rumble. Sega's Genesis had blazed the blast processing trail, but Nintendo's Super NES countered with color depth, surround sound, bragging rights, and first-party hitters. Super Mario World, F-Zero, Pilot Wings. Sports titles were the next must-have pillar. EA's Madden had colonized play calling, Capcom's NBA Showdown dunked on arcades, and Jaleco signed future slugger Ken Griffey Jr. The one mainstream circus absent from Nintendo's shiny console was Vince McMahon's World Wrestling Federation, the merchandising juggernaut that sold out arenas, pay-per-views, and half the t-shirts at my middle school book fair. Acclaim held the WWF license and delegated console development to its rainbow-logoed subsidiary LJN, while Sculptured Software handled the code. WWF Super WrestleMania released on Super NES in North America in March 1992, becoming the first WWF title on the platform and beating Sega's counterpart by 8 months. In the same quarter, Technos' arcade cabinet WWF WrestleFest gobbled quarters with oversized sprites and digitized ring announcers. Home consoles couldn't match WrestleFest's dual monitor sprites, but marketing promised arcade action nonetheless. Grocery store rental aisles paired Nintendo's gray box with wrestling magazines featuring the Hoosier Dome hype for WrestleManiaa. Synergy practically booked itself. I bought the cartridge for $89.99. Parental eye roll included, and a Dayglow yellow slap bracelet stamped Hulk rules, because accessories, like gimmicks, always sell the match. That snap band, forever curling into an oval when relaxed, will pop up whenever this game forgets to finish the job. Consider it my kayfabe commentator's pencil, clacking whenever the script gets weird, roster politics, or how the Legion of Doom pinned the Ultimate Warrior. To understand Super WrestleMania, you must grasp its roster scramble. The SNES build touts 10 wrestlers, more than any WWF home title at the time. Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Randy Savage, $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, Jake, The Snake, Roberts, The Undertaker, Sid Justice Earthquake, Typhoon, Hawk Animal. The Genesis version, arriving later, cut that list to 8, but added finishers plus exclusives such as Shawn Michaels, Papa Shango, IRS, and British Bulldog. Only Hogan, Savage, and DiBiase appear in both. Genesis owners taunted SNES kids for our missing Ultimate Warrior. We counter-taunted with Road Warrior spikes and Natural Disaster girth. Schoolyard debates resembled shoot promos, complete with heel turns when someone traded cartridges. Development lore suggests LJN finalized the Super NES roster first, then pivoted to the Genesis codebase with a trimmed cast to fit memory constraints, but regained finishers thanks to the extra dev time. Rumors of Bret Hitman Hart sprites hiding in SNES ROM offsets proved smoke and mirrors. TCRF disassemblies show no such tile maps. My snap bracelet smacked the desk when I confirmed that. One less ghost in the cartridge, I guess. Mechanics control scheme, mash early, mash often at its core. Super WrestleMania employs a 3-button grapple loop. Walk jaw to jaw with an opponent, and the game auto-locks into a collar and elbow tie-up. From here, it's pure button mashers roulette. Pound Y faster than your foe and you win the exchange, triggering one of several context moves: scoop slam, suplex, headlock punch, hip toss. The loser eats canvas. Add B for drop kicks, A for Irish whip, X for an atomic drop, R for run, L to climb the top rope. On paper, parody. Every superstar shares the entire move list, save for 2 character-specific strikes each. In the ring, results vary because sprite reach differs. Earthquake's thigh is 1 hitbox bigger than Hawk's entire torso. Example, pick Hulk Hogan, whose hulking sprite bursts the color palette with copper tone orange. Mashing Y outpaces an average CPU Hogan easily on easy mode, rewarding players with a slam that deals roughly 12% of the stamina bar, but change difficulty to hard and the computer Hulk ups its internal turbo, outmashing you 9 times out of 10. Cheap? Maybe. Faithful to Hulk's late match no-sell theatrics? Accidentally, yes. I once attached a kitchen whisk to my controller's Y button with a rubber band and spun it like an egg beater to win the grapple. Real life power up, brother. The elephant in the locker room, no finishers, signature finishers defined early 90s. WWF storylines, Undertaker's tombstone pile driver, Savage's flying elbow, Jake's DDT, yet the SNES code contains none. You can leap off the top rope with any wrestler for a falling elbow, but it's the same animation Hogan uses. The ultimate finisher Void quickly became the butt of every rental night punchline. We'd whisper DDT before a scoop slam landed, snap the bracelet, and bury our heads in sofa cushions. LJN's packaging bragged authentic moves. True only if you consider a hip toss the height of authenticity. Still, credit where due. Character-specific strikes exist. Hogan's big boot, triggered with up plus Y mid-run, plants foes like overwatered ferns. Savage's double axe handle from the top rope looks gorgeous if lacking elbow drop panache. Jake flings short arm clotheslines. Sid Justice wields a high knee. They hurt, they matter. They just aren't finishers. When Genesis players finally leg dropped to victory in December, the Torch and Pitchfork SNES forum posts basically invented console war flame culture. Match types, singles, tag, Survivor Series. Super WrestleMania offers 3 modes: one-on-one, pinfall, or countout, no tournament brackets. Tag team, pick any duo, swap with select. Hot tags trigger a tiny crowd sprite flash, but no special meter. Survivor Series, a 4-on-4 elimination marathon, the cart's ace in the hole. Eliminated wrestlers remain ringside as static coaching sprites, a low-ram homage to the real PPV spectacle. Champion belts are conspicuously absent. You simply pick an opponent set and clear it. I spent nights crafting house rules. Winner of Survivor Series gets the slap bracelet for the next school week. Loser buys pizza bagels. Presentation, audio-visual kayfabe in 16 bits. Graphic sprites stand nearly half a screen tall, faces easily recognizable despite SNES's 256 color limitations. The Undertaker's purple gloves, on point. Legion of Doom's spiked football pads, modeled to jagged perfection. Earthquake's belly splash animation actually bulges the torso sprite 1 extra pixel row, a clever hack to simulate mass. The ring ropes jitter with subtle waveforms when wrestlers bounce, and the referee circles like a Roomba, raising an eyebrow sprite whenever a pinfall begins. A pre-GIF meme if ever there was one. Corner turnbuckles sport LJN logos, while the apron cycles Super WrestleMania in white. Background fans loop 4-frame claps, but one sign, WWF rules, blinks like a cheap motel vacancy light. I used to time my grapples so DiBiase's $1 million punch landed exactly as the sign flashed red. Felt like color commentary synergy on a 14-inch CRT. Sound composer David Wise, yes, that David Wise, months before he'd dive into Donkey Kong Country jungles, programmed truncated chiptunes of each wrestler's theme. Hogan's Real American thunders all of 3 bars then loops. Undertaker's bell sample triggers at match start, genuine goosebumps through a tin speaker. Punches register a soft thwap, suplexes a harsher whump, and crowd pops rely on a single crowd roar sample pitched across 3 channels to create fake variety. It's simple, but in 1992, my living room felt like Madison Square Garden's cheap seats. Voice work exists solely for ring announcer Howard Finkel's intro. Super WrestleMania. The SNES's 8 kHz sample rate makes it sound like Fink gargling a kazoo. Still, no WWF game before it dared digitize the Fink, so we treated it like gospel. Difficulty curves and turbo tails. The AI has 2 settings, Sponge Cake and Terminator. Easy difficulty sees CPU Sid Justice whiff clotheslines into empty ropes. Hard mode lets Undertaker outmash your turbo controller every time. Sculptured coded a hidden variable that reduces increases player mash advantage by 50% on hard, uncovered by ROM sleuths years later. I once borrowed a friend's programmable pad, set turbo to 30 presses per second, and still lost 3 grapples in a row to Earthquake. Snap bracelet cracked like thunder. Hardcore tech note, grapples resolve not only on press frequency, but on timing variance. If your presses are too rhythmic, the algorithm thinks you're predictable and halves your score. Yes, the game punishes consistent mash cadence. Fascinating, infuriating, and utterly WrestleMania. Sometimes working harder gets you body slammed anyway. Legacy and influence. Even stripped of finishers, Super WrestleMania etched 3 structural pillars that future Western wrestling games adopted. The button mash grapple. Sculptured's collision to QTE system would resurface, improved in WWF Royal Rumble, and peak with WWF Raw, becoming the default until THQ Ukes introduced timing meters in the SmackDown. PS1 era. Survivor Series elimination, 4-on-4 team wars on home cartridges were unheard of in '92. THQ's N64 Classics later weaponized the idea with 4-player controllers and no DQ chaos. Large sprite priority, the SNES build proved you could render wrestlers with enough heft to feel like heavyweights without parallax illusions. Capcom's Saturday Night Slam Masters took note, pushing sprite sizes to comical proportions. Commercially, the game sold well on brand power alone. Hulkamania plus the brand new Super NES proved a license to print dollars. Critical reception hovered around mediocre. Nintendo Power applauded graphics, scolded repetitive gameplay, and gently suggested we watch for future WWF titles. They meant Royal Rumble, which indeed improved everything. Fans still cite Royal Rumble or Raw as the generation's champs, but Super WrestleMania walked so they could lariat. Collectors chase the SNES cart because of its oddball roster. It's the only WWF game where Sid Justice cohabits with the Legion of Doom, Natural Disasters, and both Hogan and Savage, an unrepeatable locker room frozen in ROM. Speedrunners attempt the perfect 10 route. Pin every CPU wrestler in Survivor mode in under 10 minutes. World record sits at 748 using Jake Roberts, leveraging his fast short arm clothesline stun to avoid grapple RNG. Modders hacked signature moves back in 2012 via Super WrestleMania EX, injecting Undertaker's tombstone, modified vertical suplex animation, and a crudely drawn Hogan leg drop. It looks janky but warms the heart, like rehabbing an amputated feature back onto the cartridge. Still no Bret Hart sprite. Confirmation that some rumors deserve power bombs. Closing paragraph plus score. What is WWF Super WrestleMania in 2025? It's my battered yellow snap bracelet, garish, stubborn, and somehow still curling tight around nostalgia's wrist. It's a game where a 10-man roster feels monumental, yet every finisher is conspicuous by its absence. Proof that ambition sometimes misses the 3 count, and yet few sights in gaming hit harder than Undertaker's pixel-perfect glower standing across from Hulk Hogan's tan-painted sprite under the glint of an SNES spotlight. Glitches, mashathons, and missing moves be damned. This cartridge still powers up a crowd pop whenever that digitized Fink bellows its title. Final score? 6.0 divided by 10. Not a main event classic, but a plucky mid-carder that paved the ramp for bigger bouts. Somewhere in my closet, that snap bracelet waits to crack again, because history, like wrestling, always leaves room for one more pop.